My name is Max Kiesling. This is February 12th, 2017, and this is my teaching reflection for my very first lab band conducting. The piece was Anasazi. My section is the ending section, and this is a reflection of my teaching on Monday. Right off the bat, I just want to outline my goals for the teaching and some notes before I jump into the actual recording. My goal was to have the ensemble distinguish mezzo piano and forte as the two dynamics listed in the piece. In order to do that, I wanted to include some imagery of what I perceived the piece to be conveying. Right off initial thoughts, I believe my posture conducting is a little slouched. I think you can see right now in the frame that I'm hunched a little and my arms are forward. I'm going to move forward a little bit. Luckily my posture straightened up. And right off the bat, you can see that I'm lifting the baton to cue the band without giving, in my opinion, proper eye contact. I think that is misleading, and the result is a very messy start. Almost even in my face you can see that I'm contemplating that. So what I know I need to do better is give cues in a more obvious fashion, eye contact with the full band rather than just people that are in my line of sight. So I'll now go back a few seconds to show the entire start. A little bit of eye contact. Not very together in the beginning. Now I do feel like I do want to say that I feel like I'm providing a steady pulse, and my posture is good. I feel like I'm not slouching at this point, and I am trying to make eye contact with various sections. One thing I want to add is that my eye contact is usually to the left of the ensemble clarinets and trumpets, and in my opinion, I'm neglecting the flutes and the saxophones and the lower brass. So I would like to correct that in the future. Sound-wise, I want to make a comment on the dynamic that is initially being played. That I would call this, and of course with the sound quality of the recording, it's a little difficult, but I would say that this is a solid mezzo forte that the band is playing. Now, one reoccurring theme that I want to make a comment on is my slight difficulties with doing good cutoffs. I think there's a few different options that I can do to improve on this. I could either notify the band exactly where I plan on stopping. I could be giving a bigger cutoff with the baton in my hands rather than a small circle. And I could be giving better eye contact. Now I'm going to go back a few seconds so we can hear my initial comments.
Awesome, sounds great already. So I just want to call attention to mezzo chord 3, so that's mezzo piano. And then where is our dynamic change? You can tell me our next dynamic.
So something that I'm happy about here is that the first thing that I said was a compliment. I think that the band sounded good for the first run through for me, and there is room to grow, but the sound that they made was something that I can build off of. So I was glad to start with that. And calling attention to the dynamics, I not only notified the first dynamic change, but then I brought it up as a question. The band did not initially pick up on the fact that it was a question, but then
40 47, and what is it? Mezzo forte.
And then students raise their hands, and we're able to discuss the dynamic change. This is not only me getting the outcome that I want, but it's involving students. So I'm pleased with how that went.
So, if I were to play a concert, let's all first play our first note at 43.
So that was definitely a little signal error mistake in my head. I was torn between me providing what I thought a mezzo forte should be, and then before following through with that, I realized that it would be better for the band to play their entire first note so that we can gauge the dynamic. I do believe that I should be more prepared in my head, knowing exactly what I want, rather than that sort of confusing will he or won't he play.
Give me a nice mezzo piano, okay?
I'm happy about how that start went. And again, the cutoff could have been a little stronger, but I believe that there was good eye contact, and I think my directions were clear.
Now that we have that in our ear, let's sing it.
Now the question here is, am I being nice, accepting that that was a good mezzo piano, or was it a true mezzo piano? I guess it depends entirely on the direction that I want to take the piece, but I think that was, for the first time, an appropriate mezzo piano, but I imagine there could be a bit of a softer sound.
Give me a nice mezzo piano.
Okay, so what I did here was have the entire band sing through the piece. I have learned in classes and have strong faith in the fact that everyone, instrumentalist or vocalist, should be including singing in their rehearsals. I think it's a strong way to work on someone's ear and connect their part to everyone else's. As singers especially, this ensemble is very perceptive to that, and they're more perceptive to dynamics, articulation, and breath when it's sung because of the nature of this class. Some notes on my switch to conducting. I wanted to remove the baton and conduct as a choir conductor. Having the baton in my left hand possibly is a mistake. I should probably have done better at putting it down, but I do want to note that the dynamic change was very good, and I really liked that contrast. My wrist is a little clicky. I'm definitely noodly. Let's see, not very stern.
Sounds great. I love the change. I want to set the scene for you. We are trudging through the desert. We have not drank water in so long. We're gasping for water. Maybe you see a cactus. Maybe that's measure 47. You reach out. You are so thirsty. Let's play. All right?
I'm glad about how that went in the class. I wanted to include my perspective and just give a bit of a characterization to the piece. I think it helped with morale too. It's nice to see some smiles from the ensemble. There we go. Now that was better eye contact, although I think that's a good example of neglecting the right side of the band. Now I would say that is quite a dynamic contrast, although the mezzo piano could be a little quieter, and I think I should be stricter in enforcing that in the future.
Sounds great.
Better cut off.
Yeah, about a minute. All right. Final thing. Let's call attention to the flutes.
At this point, I knew that I wanted to include the flutes in my lesson plan because they're sort of echoing of the melody. I think that's important in the piece. With the amount of time that I have, I think it was a little hastily thrown together, but let's see where it goes.
Everyone else can hear the flutes. When we have the notes that the clarinets and trumpets play with.
Now, I'm happy that I was able to have a chance to model, but I very obviously think that that was poorly performed. My intonation was not good and would not have given a good example of the motif that I wanted to call attention to.
Flutes come in the measure after, and I just want to call attention to that. Let's make sure that that comes out. Okay. Try one more time from 43.
For the amount of time that I had left, this might have been a bad time to include this as an extra thought. I probably should have inverted calling attention to the flutes and doing a final run with the dynamic contrast. At this point you can see my mouth. I was calling out the articulation of the snare drum, which was not being played at all, and I really wanted that to provide the marching nature of the piece. Good, and so ending the final run through, I think the flutes came out more. I think it was stronger. I was more tall and well put together in my posture, and I think my conducting was a little bit better. I still think I neglected the right side of the ensemble a bit, but there was a dynamic contrast, and the flutes were really painting the piece with their part. And all in all, I did like it. And let's see if I went with a compliment.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, so that was, as far as teacher talk goes, not as constructive as it could have been. I think for wrapping up the piece, I should have gone for being specific with my praise rather than just saying, oh, it was good. All in all, I think that was not very effective complimentary, because it didn't really tell the ensemble that I, A, was actively listening to their music, and B, appreciated the growth. And from start to finish, I did hear a lot of growth. So let's see, closing notes, things that I want to improve on. I want to be a bit more better at fully mapping out every action that I'm doing as a conductor. I feel like I can do that if I write out a few more bullet points on my lesson plan rather than just my full lesson plan. So I should submit a lesson plan and I should do my own personal notes. I want to be more comfortable as a conductor, and I want to be better at making eye contact with the full ensemble. That is my conducting opinions. As far as my musicianship, I still want to include more vocalizing in my lessons, but I also want to be modeling a bit more on the trumpet, and I want to be prepared to do that modeling well. So all in all, I am proud of this first teaching. Looking at the actual length, I had an extra minute, which I made a mistake on. I wish I knew better. So for the future, I'll be bringing my phone up with me so I can have my own personal time. And I will be super excited to perform my next conducting on Monday. Thank you. Have a good day.